Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Level Story podcast. My name is Danielle, creator and curator of Level Story, and joining me today are my two friends, Sam, the game professor, and Red Angel. How are you both this evening?
Well, we're talking about the year 2021, so, you know.
So, not good?
We are all of the emotions and none of them at the same time. That's how enigmatic we are.
Yeah.
That actually sounds about right. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yes!
Fair, yeah. Fair, very fair. But, yeah, today we're here to talk about the games we played in 2021. So not just new games that came out in 2021, but just the games we played in general. Games we completed or didn't complete halfway through, tried but gave up on, all of the above.
I forgot that was the criteria for this, and thank God for that, because then I might actually have some to talk about. Good, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we all play through games differently, so, sometimes we just don't get through them within the year, and it's fine, Gotta do what you gotta do. But we had an episode last year where we reflected on our 2020 games, so I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can listen to that. But yeah, in general, how would you both say your 2021 was in terms of gaming?
Pretty good, honestly.
A little more mixed for me, I guess. Due to budgetary reasons, I couldn't get as many new games as I wanted. Also, though, I discovered Final Fantasy XIV at the end of last year, so that was a lot. That was a lot of, but it was. I found out a little while ago that you could type /playtime into the chat, and it would tell you how long we played.
Oh, that's a mistake.
It is a mistake. It is.
They did that in WoW too. Oh God.
Yep. I looked at it and was like, actually, that's not quite as bad as I feared. And then my partner pointed out that actually what it was that I spent the equivalent of an entire month out of the last year playing Final Fantasy XIV.
That sounds about right.
So, that happened. And, yeah, so in some way, I mean, I enjoyed all of that. 14 is an incredible game. I don't know if you've all heard about the award-winning MMO Final Fantasy XIV that you can play for free up through level 60, including the award-winning... Sorry, I'm not going to do that whole joke, but it's extremely good. I just also I like playing other games, and I didn't do a lot of that this year, so...
Well, apparently you can't sign up anymore right now because the servers are so overloaded at the moment.
Yeah, when Endwalker came out... Yeah, I think that as of a couple days ago, they made it so that you can purchase the game and pay the subscription and stuff again. Except that you still can't start new free trials, and it is 100% worth it in my opinion. But nonetheless, if you don't have to pay for the first 2 arcs of the story, why start like that? So yeah. But I'll talk more about Endwalker, eventually in this conversation, so I'll save that for then.
Yeah, fair enough. Every time I do log on to my my PlayStation, I always check to see who's online, and I will say every time I go on, I see you playing Final Fantasy XIV, thinking, oh, that must be fun. Must be fun.
Look, you're not wrong.
But I'm not judging. Look,
I know you're not. I'm judging me.
I'm excited to finally play.
Now my partner's playing through it, so I'm on it even more, playing with them and leading them through it, so...
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
You'll never be rid of it.
No.
Can't escape.
It's too good. I don't want to be rid of it. I just also want to have time. But anyway, that's... Point being, yes, my year in gaming was enjoyable, just not as productive as I would have hoped.
Gotcha. What about you, Red? What would you say? I know you said good, but...
Listen, I beat games this year. That was just my big thing. I actually beat games, and I got through games rather than just starting them and then going off to the moon and just forgetting about them existing. So I'm happy. I played through a surprising amount of games this year, and there's more that I'm going to probably get through in 2022. So I don't know. I had a productive year in gaming.
Well, that's good.
Weirdly enough.
Honestly, I'd probably say the same thing for myself. I did have a productive year in gaming. Didn't complete as many games as I would have liked. But yeah, productive is probably the word I'd use for my year as well. But anyway, let's just jump into it. So I guess to start off, can I ask what were some of your favorite games from the year?
I'm gonna pipe in with the biggest surprise and say Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Was yeah. I mean, obviously that's not surprising given my whole like obsession or whatever. But I actually just finished it the other night. Finally, the main story at least. There's post game content and new classes that I haven't tried and stuff. But the main thing that sort of makes Final Fantasy XIV stand out in the MMO space is that its story is extremely good, and Endwalker is no exception. This expansion is pretty much the conclusion to the story that has been like building this whole time. Not the end of Final Fantasy XIV, but like it pretty fully closed out, just the specific story stuff that's been going on since the beginning of this game. And it did an extremely good job of it. It avoided a lot of pitfalls I was afraid it might fall into. It had a lot of really emotional stuff and brought back and resolved pretty much everything from the, like, what has it been? The base game and then, like, 4 expansions. It just brought it all together in an extremely satisfying and, like, emotionally resonant way. So that was good. I enjoyed that a lot. I don't think it's my favorite of the expansions. That would still be Heavensward. But it was very, very, very good. And this game is good. And I know it's long, but everyone should play it because it's very good. So, yeah, that's probably my number one for this year.
Okay. What about you, Red?
On a completely other side of the spectrum, how many of you have heard of the amazing game Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion?
Oh.
I want to play that so bad.
Yeah.
I don't even really know much about it, but the title alone.
It's so much fun. I love it so much. I played the demo back when it was on itch.io I played it so many times and I go, I need to buy this when it comes out. And it was on a pretty decent sale when it came out, and I played it and I went, this is my favorite game this year. Nothing is going to change this. This is just the best game that came out in 2021. I will fight people in the street about this. It's just fun, and it's satirical, and it's funny, and it's basically Link's. It's very Zelda 2 overhead Zelda kind of feel. Except it is entirely this tiny turnip who commits tax evasion, and now you have to do quests for everybody because you committed tax evasion in order to redeem yourself in the eyes of the law. And you get little hacks, and you get like little upgrades and weapons, and it is very tongue-in-cheek, and it's a goofy game. Like, you're not gonna get any otherworldly experience from it, but if you want a game that's just fun and goofy and you get little unlockables like little hats and stuff, play it.
Okay. And you mentioned it last episode.
I know I did. And I was so happy it came out. And I know it's on the Switch, it's on Steam. I don't know if it is on any other platforms other than computer and PC. It might be on the PS4, I'm not sure.
I think I bought it for PC. I forget now. It's either on my wish list or I bought it already, so I'll have to try that very soon. Because it was per your mentioning it, our last recording, that I was like, I'm going to add this to my list, and it looks fantastic. Honestly,
yeah, that one. It just like I have a lot of other fun games that I really liked that are in my top 5, but just honestly, Turnip Boy, I just went, yeah, nope, that's what it is, isn't it?
It just has to be it.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, continuing kind of Sam's trend of like games that suck your time but are really good.
I was gonna say my game did not suck. How dare you? But
no. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The order in which I put those words was not the best. No, one of my favorite games of this year has to be Fire Emblem 3 Houses. That sucked up a real good chunk of my time.
I beat one story from it. I will beat the other ones eventually.
Look, I beat one story from it, and it took me 100 hours. So
That's about what it was for me too.
I would like to do the others also, but that's like
Eventually.
what, 2 more, and then another like weird half one. So what, 250 extra hours? I mean, maybe less because I don't need to read everything all over again. But like, yeah, eventually, I guess.
Surprisingly, I did do 2 routes. And because the first one I did was like 70 some hours, and then I forget how much my second one was.
Which 2?
I did the Golden Deer, and then, the Black Eagles, but Black Eagles splits into 2 different routes. So,
right.
I did the Crimson Flower, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to try the other ones, because I know which one. You also did the Golden Deer, right, Sam?
I did Golden Deer, yeah.
And then you did Blue Lions.
I did do Blue
Yes.
Lions. Blue Lions.
Blue Lions strikes me. I don't know anything except that which I saw of it in Golden Deer, and it strikes me as an extremely tragic route.
Yes.
I don't know, but
I mean, yeah, they're all kind of. All of them are kind of tragic in their own ways, but
that's true. Yes.
I argue Golden Deer is the most kind of like chill, or it's not chill necessarily.
I've heard that Golden Deer is the closest to like a good story with a happy ending, as opposed to like a tragedy. Not a bad tragedy, a good tragedy, I guess. I don't know. I've heard Golden Deer is the most sort of hopeful in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely Blue Lions. I mean, I was so obsessed with it. I couldn't play through it. I mean, I am going to play through Blue Lions eventually, but I ended up just loving the story so much. I just kind of read online what happens, and obviously I won't say anything here, but yeah, Blue Lions is pretty, there's a lot.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to process, and I don't necessarily like my faction at the end of it. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting, yeah.
Just like I like certain characters, but my personal small irritation with Three Houses was always that it is focused on the 3 main characters most of all, and you, the not that much personality character, Byleth. And it's just, it kind of bothered me because the other characters were obviously very important, but they just didn't kind of have that same like the same staying power, and even if you minus some of them out of the equation, it doesn't matter as much.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's an issue. I've never played a Fire Emblem game before this, but I'm guessing that's an issue that happens in a lot of the games, just because your character can die.
I mean, I didn't really have that issue with Awakening that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of... They tend to have a few particular characters that are too important to die, and then every other character is technically expendable in terms of, mechanics.
Yeah.
So they try and make them, just endearing enough that you spend time with them and get connected to them, which, in a good Fire Emblem game like Three Houses, and, in my opinion, and Awakening for that matter, I think that generally works. The story would have continued on just fine if I ended up getting Bernadetta killed, but I would have died of grief.
Yes.
So, because she is just, I can't imagine having to hurt her. She's perfect.
I really do love Bernadetta so much.
I noticed that Red is suspiciously silent.
I am just being quiet because I know something that can happen if you do something.
Oh yeah, no, plenty of things can happen if you do things.
Yeah, no, it's like I recruited Bernadetta, so I saved her essentially from a fate that I was surprised could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Bernadetta is perfect.
I'm good. I'll tell you all about it afterwards.
Okay.
Also, Raphael, he's just all of his. I don't know if any of you ended up recruiting him, but
I recruited him.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of his support conversations are pretty much just someone doing something and him being like, "Hey, what's up with that? That's cool. You're great." And that's just the whole thing. He's so pure.
Honestly, just that was what struck me about this game. I went into it being like like, it'll be fine. Like, I just want to try it. Everybody says the story's great, so I'll give it a shot. And I found it to be so wholesome and just so precious that after every support conversation, even if it was like kind of not the best in terms of story, I'd be like, that was so adorable. Oh my God.
Yep.
And I have to say, because I have to gush about this, but the whole reason I played it a second time after beating, I think it's Verdant Win for the Golden Deer. I really, really, really love Edelgard a lot. And
everyone loves Edelgard.
Yeah. It was a problem. Like I loved her, like, so I wanted to do her route. So that was why I played it again.
She's also one of the few characters that you can romance as female Byleth, right?
Yes, and it's amazing. I'm
sure.
Yeah. So it's a shame actually that game. I don't think there's many like I don't think either of the male characters, Dimitri or Claude, can be romanced by a man.
They cannot.
Which is
even though it seems that it could have been in the coding at one point, judging by how Claude talks to the male character.
Oh yeah, there's so much subtext there. I was a male Byleth, and yes, there's a lot of subtext there. That's just all it ever becomes, because, well, you know, that's sort of the middle ground, right? Like, if they can do gay characters, but they can't, like, fully commit, then they're gonna put a little bit of lesbian romance in there, and that's how that goes, you know, like early BioWare stuff. And
I remember Lindhart was able to be romanced, but it was kind of, isn't it just kind of a know-nothing? Like, I don't know a whole lot about his romance route. I just kind of slapped him with one of the other characters.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, like, I think he is the only male character that you can romance as a male Byleth. And I wasn't really taken with Lindhart that much, so I didn't find him, like, that incredibly interesting, so I never really looked into it, but...
I don't remember who you're talking about, so I guess I'll agree.
Green hair, sleeps all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's been like what, like 2 years now since that game came out, and I played it. So
yeah, it's been a little while.
I don't know
at this point, but yeah, yeah. So that was easily. I do have some issues with the game, of course, and I would love to just like write something or make like a video talking about just everything about this game. But in general, it just was so meaningful to me at the time when I played it that I just can't not call it a favorite at this point. So
yeah,
I really did love it. But yeah, any others in your top 5?
Well, I'll go to what's probably my second, I guess. Returnal is very, very good. I got lucky and was able to snag a PS5 back in January. So I actually got to, you know, play some PS5 games, and Returnal is extremely good. It's like a science fiction roguelike about a woman who crash lands on a planet and finds that, you know, every time she dies, she just starts back at the beginning of the crash and is essentially just kind of trying to get through to figure out the source of a signal that may allow her to, you know, contact her, you know, some other ships and get off world. And it's one of those games that just plays extremely well. Like, it's hard to put into words exactly how that works and why it's good, right? But like, the game just feels extremely smooth and fast and responsive in just a very special way, I think. And that plus the PS5's just hardware in general, like, it looks incredible. There's not a single load time in the whole thing. It just flashes you from place to place pretty much immediately. Like, it's amazing. And the controller, the use of the controller is amazing. Just every little, you know, you can have like little parasites attached to you that give like plus and, you know, pros and cons in terms of your abilities and all that. And now and again, you know, they make little slimy sounds or whatever, and you can also like sort of feel weird little feelings on the controller, or like it'll start raining and you feel these little, you know, prick, prick, prick of controller feedback all over the controller. The haptic feedback on the PS5 is really cool, and Returnal shows it off extremely well. And man, just, it's very, very cool. There's a lot of cool, you know, like sort of enemy designs and stuff. There are a lot of like, it's a third-person shooter, but there are a lot of bullet hell elements to it. A lot of situations and bosses where there are, you know, projectiles and such going around that you have to move around and dodge. And There's one particularly, like, just a really, really cool boss that everyone loves that's basically a giant monster playing an organ, and all of these little projectiles are coming out of it, like, in time with the music that you have to sort of dodge and get out of the way of, and the whole game is just, it's really something special. The only thing that would have made me hesitate to recommend it was that when it came out, it didn't let you save in the, like, during the process of a run of the game. And, you know, some roguelikes, it takes, you know, like 15 minutes per run or whatever, right? This game can take hours. Like, which is, you know, it's cool. It works, except that if they don't let you save in the middle of it, then you do basically have to, like, only play it when you know that if you do a good job, you can sit there and keep playing for a few hours. You can put the PS5 to sleep, and that's fine, but, you know, if your power goes out or you play another game or anything like that, then, you know, all your progress goes away. And thankfully they have since patched that. So you know, there are points that you can save during a given run, so that's just not an issue anymore, which means that there's just nothing in the way of me recommending it. It's a very, very good game. One of the best so far that the PS5 has to offer, I think. And just good stuff. I enjoyed it a lot, and I recommend it.
Nice. I've heard really good things. I need to get to that because I also managed to snag a PS5, I think, last October, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So now that I have it, I got to get all these games.
Yeah.
My bank account is crying. But,
I know, right?
yeah. But yeah, I've heard very good things, so that sounds like a really cool game.
Well, I finally beat Final Fantasy X and X-2 last year.
Woohoo!
Yeah!
Both of them. And I liked both of them quite a bit. I was pleasantly surprised at how easy the sphere grid was to run once you kind of got the hang of it. I always heard all these... You hear all these horror stories about, the sphere grid was really hard. And I kind of looked at it and I went, okay, I figured it out. I just always had to look at it for a second. And I went, okay, this is where I'm going. Okay. Do.
Yep.
But it's fun. It's a really interesting story. It's very thematic. It is kind of a hero's journey for two different characters, but like one, you think it's only the one at first, and it's actually both of them. And then there's the twists that have been around for years, but I'm not going to spoil it for everybody on the podcast. But I don't know. It's just that classic Final Fantasy thing, and I'm glad I've finally fully beaten a Final Fantasy game now, because I could get it on a Nintendo console. The irony is hilarious. That's what it took for me to finally beat a Final Fantasy game.
Look, you've been able to get the first 6 on a Nintendo console for a long time. There is no excuse, Red.
Listen. I forgot, okay? I always just like, I go, oh, look over there, a bee. Like, just go chase that. No, I was just really stoked about finally beating those two and being focused long enough to beat those two games.
Yeah. Well, they're long games, right? It's like 100 hours or something?
You could spend 100 hours on 10, but I feel like if you're not trying to get everything, it's closer to 50. Like,
okay.
Yeah, and 10-2's kind of the same way, except in order to get to the best of best endings, you need 100%, but I didn't care that much.
Oh. Yeah, that's when you just get the normal ending and then YouTube the other one.
Right.
Yep. I was like, nope, I'm just going to do this. It's interesting, though, what you get when you get... Because that if you don't achieve certain parts of the story and search for certain things, you will miss huge chunks of story, and I can kind of see why that turned people off of 10-2. I actually can really see, like, missing whole chunks of the stories because you didn't explore this certain place at this certain time. Taking away certain chunks of the story can really kill it for someone. And I go, no, I can see why people were not really in it with 10-2.
Honestly, I've never even heard people complain about that. Most people just didn't like the complete tonal shift and Yuna having guns.
Yes, you mean Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Wait, what year
Which
did that
I
come
can
out?
get, but I need to give it another shot. I need to go back and replay 10
came out in like 2000, if I remember right. 2001, 2000.
Yeah,
Okay.
gosh. Something like that. It was an early PS2 game.
It was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
It was the first one on the PS2, and it was one of the first PS2 games. No, I'm not I looked up Final Fantasy X on Google and it was like, oh, you mean 13? I'm like, no, don't just add 3 I's to that. No. 2001. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, 2000, 2001. Yeah, no, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I've been vibing with I'm getting around to playing Final Fantasy finally. I'm breaking my curse.
Yeah, there are a lot of very good ones, and 10 is excellent. A lot of people are wrong about it, but 10 is very good. So
I'm very excited to finally play it when eventually I will get to it.
one of the other things that Google's like, people also ask, is Final Fantasy X sad?
Oh.
Yes.
And like, yes. Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah. And 10-2 is actually sad. That's something people seem to miss. They go, it's such a goofy tone. I go, it's about trauma. The entire game is about trauma.
Honestly,
Oh.
like,
With
what is
friends.
better? What is better than a 60-hour Japanese RPG that's goofy as hell and also about extremely deep, harrowing shit?
Actually, yeah.
What is better than that?
What is better than that? More trauma.
Oh yes, exactly. Like that's like my favorite game right there. A big goofy JRPG that's actually about very serious things. I love it.
Same though. That
Yep.
tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely tracks.
Oh yeah, Danielle, you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. Of course that tracks with you.
Yeah, of course.
Kingdom
it
Hearts
does.
is pretty. It's kind of an epitome of that, I'd say.
Oh yeah, except it's like on like in terms of goofy, and I don't just mean the character, but just the tone. It's like way more goofy than traumatic, and the traumatic stuff is, well, you'll get to it. Because I was gonna say, how far are both of you into the Kingdom Hearts series?
I need to finish 2.
Okay.
I need
So not
to.
very.
I know all of the spoilers for 2. I know a lot of the spoilers for 3 and the other games because I had friends that were obsessed with the game. So I know a lot of what's going to happen, but I am just now playing through 1, and I'm going to attempt to get through it this year. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. Well, look, when we record this in 2023, maybe we'll be talking about that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you get to hear my analysis about how Kingdom Hearts 1 is actually about Sora growing up in a cruel and unfeeling world, and how the darkness is actually an analogy for puberty.
That'd be a great
Honestly, you could argue that's just like straight up subtext in the game in a lot of ways.
I know, and
Like-
I've been doing it ever since I started playing it,
Yep.
Yeah.
like out loud to myself, and I'm just going, I sound like a crazy person. It's fine. I'm
Yep.
playing a game with a giant key.
What do I care?
What do I care?
That's so funny. Hey, well, you know, speaking of traumatic games, one game that I would put on my favorite games this year was a game we mentioned prior to recording, which is Nier Automata. Okay, so Sam and I, we kind of played through these like around the same time because I played through Nier Replicant for the first time.
Wait a minute, was Nier Replicant this year?
It was.
For the love of... That would have been my number 2, but okay. Time is
Yeah.
bad and mixed up. Okay, sorry, go on. I need to process this.
Well, no, that's fine. It doesn't feel like it was this year, honestly, but I think it was in March. I think.
Yeah, no, well, no, it was April. It came out
Oh, that's
like
right.
days before my birthday, and I've treated myself by getting the super expensive, very cool thing with all the good stuff.
That's right.
And I forgot that it was this year. No.
Yeah. Oh,
April
yeah.
22nd.
What's that? April.
April 22nd.
Okay.
Or
Yep.
23rd on Steam.
Yep, so that is 2 days before my birthday. It was a good birthday present.
That is an excellent birthday present because like I loved Nier Replicant a lot, but Nier Automata I love just like a bit more. But I love them both. And I don't really know, like I don't have much really to say about it other than I really enjoyed it. Like it really challenged my expectations. It's a game that I've been wanting to play for such a long time, and finally playing it was just such a rewarding experience. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And Replicant for that matter. Replicant, I've actually been re-listening to the soundtrack and it just has me feeling so nostalgic. It's so good.
There is something, I tell you, those 2 soundtracks are just, man, talk about like top tier greatest of all time soundtracks. Like, they're very good.
Yeah. It's funny because a woman I work with, I was burning like CDs for her to like try to introduce her to different types of music. And I put Song of the Ancients on one of them. And she says to me, she's like, what is this weird track with this woman singing a language I don't understand? I tried to tell her, I was like, well, our voices are really just an instrument, so I wouldn't really think about that. She's like, nope, it's weird.
Man, see, I've been a video game and anime nerd long enough that, like, I don't even... Songs with lyrics in a different language I don't understand, that does not even faze me. Like, whatever, that's cool.
It sounds so good. Like, but I'm going to convince her one of these days. I'll let you know how that goes. But cool. Anyway, yeah, Nier Automata is just... I'm actually watching the YouTube channel Playframe is doing a playthrough of it right now, so I'm
I need to I've been watching their Final Fantasy XIV playthrough, and I need to watch the Automata one because I really it's so good.
It is really good. Just in general, like I love watching playthroughs of games. A bit too much. It's very time sucking, but very good at the same time. So I'm enjoying that. I need to watch because I'm not going to play Final Fantasy XIV anytime soon, so I was thinking of watching like the first few episodes because I'm really curious.
Watch the primer that he did on it too, because he did a primer sort of going over the 1.0 stuff and the history of the game, which is actually very important and cool.
Okay.
And that's just, it's a great starting point.
Okay, cool. Definitely will do that then. But yeah, Nier Automata, very much enjoyed it. Any other, so I know we can't talk about our favorite games the entire time, but just as like mentions, we just want to mention any other games that we consider in our favorite tier.
Yeah, I'll do some brief follow-up mentions. Nier Replicant, which I have always remembered came out this year. It was a very solid remake, and it was nice to see sort of the more canonical, the young Nier instead of the Papa Nier that we got in the West before. It is still Automata is my favorite of the two, but Nier is still a very good game. I feel like it's a game that if I played it when I was, like in high school, it would have shaped my expectations and understanding of what a video game could be in a different way. And like it's that kind of game. It's very, very good, and the remake did a very good job. Let's see. I also played Resident Evil Village, which was very, very fun. I think I ultimately didn't like it quite as much as 7, if only because 7 was a very good horror game, like from the beginning to the end, whereas Village was more like a fun horror-themed action game for the most part that wasn't all that scary, except for this one part in the middle that's one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my entire life, hands down. So, that there was that. I still freak out thinking about that, but the rest of the game wasn't as scary. But it was still very, very good. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was excellent. Let's see. Halo Infinite. I haven't finished the campaign yet, but I was very worried about open world Halo because back in, the Bungie days with very good Halo games, the sort of linear level design was always one of the game's strengths, and open world seemed like a big risk. But not only does this new one, Infinite, walk back most of what made Halo 5 bad in terms of Call of Duty-fying the gameplay, it feels like Halo to play again, and it turns out the open world setting is actually very, very good. They made it work very well, and I'm enjoying it. The story also made the wise decision of resolving most of the bullcrap that happened in Halo 5 off-screen and continuing from there. So I've been enjoying that. The multiplayer is fun, too. It's nice to have... I don't think you two play enough first-person shooters to, I don't know if this will make sense, but these games can feel very, very different, and Halo pretty much set the entire tone for the genre for a while after it came out, but then Call of Duty stole it, and all of them started feeling like Call of Duty for a long time, and Halo's gunplay is very sort of fast and loose in comparison in a way that is extremely fun, and I just have not had that in so long, and it's great to have it back. So that's been fun. I also played Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart on PS5. Not a whole lot to say about it. Solid story, fun characters, whole thing looks like a Pixar movie as I'm playing it, and I love it. That was cool. And then the last one I'll mention is Metroid Dread. It was very nice. It's not my favorite Metroid game is probably still Fusion, and of course a lot of other Metroidvania games like Hollow Knight and such have really just kind of beat the original, the OG Castlevania and Metroid games in a lot of ways. But it was nice to have 2D Metroid back. The main thing that polarized people on this one was the Emmys, like the robots that you end up in an area and they're chasing you. They're trying to hunt you, rather, and if they catch you, you're pretty much dead. There's a slim chance you could get away, but you're pretty much dead. I definitely fall on the side of not liking them. I just also fall on the side of that not being enough to actually like ruin the game particularly. I dealt with them and enjoyed the rest of what the game had to offer, and what had to offer was pretty good, and it was nice to have classic 2D Metroid back, so I enjoyed that quite a bit. Oh wait, sorry, I guess I should also actually mention Deathloop, because I just started it, and it's really cool. Like, not just started it. I didn't quite get it at first, but like the basic idea is that you're in this place that is constantly looping the same day over and over again, and your goal is to break that loop by killing the 8 people who are in charge of it in one day, one of the loops. And the goal at first is basically just to figure out how you can even do that. And so, you go around and you figure stuff out. Like, there was a point where I went to try and get one of them, and I did that. Like, I went there and killed him. But while I was there, I found out that he and one of the other of the 8 people had, like, a thing going, which they're not supposed to do because 2 of them in the same place makes them easy to take out at the same time, but they do anyways. And so I went to another place to find out where that was so that I could plan out when and where I could take both of them out at one time. And then it turned out that the time that they do that is the same time that I had previously figured out I would be able to kill one of the other people somewhere else. So now I have to find a different plan for her. And it's like this, just this big, elaborate mystery solving process of figuring out where everyone's going to be and how, so you can plan out one big assassination spree. And it's really neat. It does a very good job. I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't know if it's going to overtake my favorite game from Arcane, because Prey is very, very good, but I'm enjoying it. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry, there's all my runner-ups, relatively brief.
No, that's actually, I've heard really good things about Deathloop, so...
Yeah. Arcane in general, just, they've made Dishonored and Prey, and they're, those are very good games. And you can see that DNA in Deathloop just applied to a very different sort of overall process, and it's been very good so far.
Nice. How about you, Red?
There's a couple of them with, like, signs of... Alright, let's see if I do this right. Signs of Sojourner?
Oh! Yeah, I've heard of that.
I hope I said it right.
Sojourner, I think, right?
Sojourner? Is it... I don't know if it's said like the person, or if it's something else. And I don't want to say it either way, so if I said it wrong, everyone can correct me. It's fine. But it's a really good game. It's about, you're on this journey, your mom dies, and you're on this trade loop, and you have to negotiate things and get items from other people. But the more you talk to other people on certain routes, the different cards you get, and it's like a card matching game almost, borderline. Like, basically, if you get your card to match up with the person's card when they say something to you, that matches their mood and tone, so they get along with you better. But if you don't match it, then it, like, marks it down a little bit. The game explains it better than I do, I'm sorry. But basically, how you talk to people and how you develop your little card deck with your certain emotions and stuff will change how the game turns out. And there's a bunch of endings, and it's really neat.
I feel like...
Oh, man, that sounds very up, doing like, hey, it's conversation, except it's cards. Like, that is my alley there. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah,
it's on the Switch and on Steam.
Okay.
I don't know anything else.
I'm pretty sure I heard of that game also from you, Red, because I think that's on my wish list.
Yeah,
it's on my wish list too. So probably the same, I guess.
I did say it last year, and I was like, I'm curious to see when this comes out. And I think it came out pretty early this past year, and I'm glad I got around to it and I beat it, and it's a lot of fun. Also, hey, so I finally got through and played Fallout 4.
Oh, you actually finished it. That's impressive. I couldn't do that.
I finished it. I beat it.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I did not expect an Oscar-winning story. It's Bethesda, but it's
fair.
I was going all right. I had my fun with it. It was a little annoying at points. I actually, in grand terms of first-person shooters that I played last year, I actually preferred Outer Worlds to that, and I also played Outer Worlds last year. On the Switch, I know everybody says it's a bad port, and it kind of is, but it could be a lot worse. I played the patched version. It's actually pretty fun.
Good.
And I'm looking forward to the second game. I hope the second game might have some romance. Just saying.
I thought the Outer Worlds had romance. Does it not?
It does not.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
I mean, you get to hook up one of your characters with another character. Like, that's her loyalty mission, is make sure her date goes okay.
I mean, that's also fun, but
it is very sweet and very endearing. And I go, well, this is my favorite quest of the game. I'm gonna make sure you two girls have a good time. That was my role. I was the wingman the whole time.
That is very good.
Awesome.
There was actually, that reminds me a bit of have you played Dragon Age 2, Red? I forget.
I have played Dragon Age 2.
The mission with Aveline.
Yep.
Because, there's this whole, she's romanceable, but also the loyalty mission is, helping her out to get the attention of someone that she likes because she's awkward and adorable. And,
10 out of 10.
That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be your wingman forever.
Yep.
Also, okay, so this is one that I bet you almost no one in the audience has heard of. So there's this game called Trigger Witch. And
man, I was ready to be like, oh, I know about that one, but nope, I've never heard of that.
It's about a girl who has a gun, and she's a witch, and she's from a coven of witches that all have guns, and all of their magic is gun based.
Bayonetta?
You would think. But no, it's traditional, pointy hat witches, and they're like, we're all in a little coven, and then there's there's my Glock, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
You have to look at the artwork on Nintendo's website. It's just amazing. Just the witches, they look so happy, and then she's just pointing a gun at you.
That's the best thing. I'm playing this game, and I go, and you can turn, it has blood splatter. It has blood splatter, and it's just everywhere. And you can turn it off, and then it turns into confetti.
Oh my gosh!
Always a good joke in a game.
and when it shoots it, you hear a little wee. And there's confetti. There's just confetti and everything.
Okay, adding that to my wish list.
It's so much fun, and it's been on sale a couple of times in the past couple months. And I have had so much fun with it. I haven't beaten it yet, but it's beautiful. It's 10 out of 10. I love it so much.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Also, for those of you who really enjoy Pokemon-like games, so there's this game called Nexamon Extinction. And it is similar to Pokemon, because it has the same kind of thing, but it's harder. And you also have 10 starters that you can choose from.
Wow.
And you can catch them all in the wild later, so it's not like you're locking yourself out of another choice, so it's not that detrimental.
Looks like a very pretty game.
It is a very pretty game. It does have a little bit of that, I don't want to say edgy because I hate that word, but the first fight that you have is this giant dragon that wrecks you, and the dragon just goes, it's like, you fool, and then they start there's these little kids that start cursing you out, and I go, what is this game?
What did you say it was called again?
Nexamon, like Nexa and then Mon Extinction, because there's the first Nexamon game that was on mobile, but Nexamon Extinction was made for the Switch and mobile. I managed to get the sequel somehow because it was $5.
All right.
Why not? Also, Monster Sanctuary was a lot of fun, and that is more of a strategic monster battler that is, I don't want to say it's like Dark Souls, because it's not like Dark Souls, but it has a huge difficulty curve that if you don't strategize your monster's move, your team will get wiped.
Oh.
Interesting.
And they won't perma-die, but it's so hard at points that you will grind your teeth depending on what starter you chose, because that sometimes it's all good and you're having a grand old time, but sometimes you're just gonna get your teeth kicked in.
I feel like this was also on my wish list. So I feel like we might have talked about that one before too. Every time, well, I say every time, but we only did this podcast one other time. But that time, you mentioned so many games, Red. I'm like, that sounds really neat. And so I added to my wish list. And now I just have this huge wish list of these really just like cute, adorable, like quirky games I just want to play so badly.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, right. That reminds me. You guys mentioned Metroidvanias earlier. Ender Lilies.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard about that.
I will beat this drum. It's a good game. It has the dark spooky spooks, and it has that kind of eerie environment that you would expect from something like Castlevania. But it has very beautiful artwork, very nice music. It has some gaming veterans working on it. I'm not looking at the about page right now, so I couldn't tell you who it is because I can't remember names worth a diggity darn. But it's a good game. I'm not nearly done with it yet, but I would highly recommend it for people who want to try a Metroidvania in the similar vein as to something like Hollow Knight or any of like the Castlevania or Metroid games, but have like a tiny little girl with ooky spooky spirits helping her out.
Oh, nice.
Cute.
It's pretty. It's also very pretty.
I think I watched
Also
like
good.
a thing about it. I guess it has like a randomizer now, so I saw like clips from that, and I was watching it, and it was really pretty. So, another game on the list.
All right, I'm
Damn
good for mine. I have more, but I'm just like that's good for now.
Well, I guess so. I only have a few more that I'll mention, which one I feel like is obligatory that I finally got to play because I got my PS5, which was the episode intermission of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally got to play that.
I always forget that's a thing. I need to do that.
Yeah, it's like I won't do any spoilers, but I really, really loved it, and it made me really want to replay through Remake again, which I did a little, like I played the first chapter again just to reacquaint myself with the controls and all that fun stuff. And yeah, it was just so fun. It was like, it's only like 10 hours, I think, and I was very sad when I finished it. I wanted more. I'm very impatient for part 2 of the Remake series, but yeah, it was very good. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Yuffie's awesome. The music is incredible as well. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Bloodborne, I finally played.
We played that this year?
That was, I think, in January.
No.
I know.
I don't understand time anymore. But yeah, Bloodborne is great.
Yeah, I think it might have actually been March, but anyway, yeah, that was a weird one that I didn't expect to play just because, like, the whole story of it is that Sam and I were trying to play Cuphead, and Cuphead doesn't support online play, believe it or not, which is kind of disappointing. Yeah, weird. Yep. Maybe they'll put that in the DLC when that comes out, but I don't know. But yeah, when we couldn't do that, Sam's like, well, why don't we try Bloodborne? And well, it all just went downhill from there. I absolutely loved that game so much. And thank God Sam guided me through it, because I don't know, like now that I played Bloodborne, I think I could do a Souls game a little bit on my own. But in that beginning moments, I was just it was a lot to take in. So
well, you just got Demon's Souls on PS5, so you can feel free to give that a shot.
Yeah.
That said, I have not finished Demon's Souls alone, so if you do figure out how to just do that whole game on your own, then please come help me.
I'm too scared, okay? Like, I will be reaching out to you soon, because yeah,
honestly, there are diehard fans that say that like co-op, since it makes it so much easier, is like the wrong way to play those or something. But honestly, I've played them co-op and alone, and I just enjoy them more co-op. Like, it's still difficult, but you have a lot more fun with someone else to really, like, share in that, and it still can be pretty tough. So, like, whatever. It's fun. I don't care.
Well, it's just nice, because I know there's that big debate where should there be a difficulty scale in Dark Souls? And people seem to just be on one fence or the other, but I like the idea of having co-op because you know it's difficult going into it, but you're having a support system, somebody that's helping you out. It helps with that difficulty curve. At least for me, it did. And I just think it's so clever and fun and so much better when you're playing alongside someone. Like, it's too scary when I'm by myself. Like, I mean, I did it sometimes, but I'd always be like tiptoeing through environments and being like, all right, looking around the corner, like really slowly and taking like hours to do one simple thing and then dying miserably. But yeah, either way, I really enjoyed Bloodborne way more than I thought I would. I'm not a big scary game person, which it's not like a scary game, but there were just some things that normally I would think I wouldn't like, but it was a lot of fun, and I put quite a few hours into that. So that was fun. Because after Sam guided me through it, then another friend of mine heard of it and she wanted to play it, so then I guided her through it. So that was fun. Now she wants me to guide her husband through it. I'm like, oh, I love Bloodborne, but I'm Bloodborned out. Like, but maybe we'll see. But I also have to mention, I also played Tacoma this year. And this has been on my list for so long, and finally played it, and I just loved it. I loved the story, and just it's just a really good game. It was like in the beginning of the year, so I'm trying to remember all the little details, but easily to say, like, it was very good. I loved it a lot.
Yeah, I really, really like Tacoma. It's a good one.
Yeah,
it's probably my favorite of the sort of, like, narrative exploration genre, honestly. Like, Firewatch is up there too, but I just really liked Tacoma.
I need to at some point replay it, because when I was originally playing it, my computer was struggling a bit with it, and I think there's something like sometimes when you play a game, there's this, I guess the term would be like game feel. Like sometimes the game, like something feels off about it, and I struggled with that a little in Tacoma at first, because I think just because my computer was struggling to play it. But now that I have played through it, I do want to do it a second time, because my computer was struggling, there were certain things that I was trying to get, like certain items to flesh out the story more, like finding a code to get in a certain room. And I ended up not doing it. So now I want to like actually go through and do everything. I did most of it, but there were some rooms I missed. So I want to go back and do that, because it's such a rewarding game. And again, the story is just really, really good. Now that we talk about our top 5 games, are there any games that were, I'm not going to say bad games, but how about games that like really challenged us this year?
You know what? I think that would be that this year I finally... It's not the first time I've started it, but it is the first time I've finished Knights of the Old Republic. It is a classic RPG. It is a good Star Wars game and a cool exploration of that universe. I wish it was even a little bit fun to play, but it's not. It's really not. There's a lot of things. Like, I like the game overall, and there's a lot to like about it, but it's just not a very, like, they basically sort of copy pasted the rules to like D&D 3.0, or like whichever one was the current one at the time, and just copy pasted it into a Star Wars video game, except where you don't, it's not true turn-based really. It auto battles, and then you use abilities sometimes, and the abilities are weirdly complicated since it's using this like D20 system and actually using that terminology in a video game. And then, I don't know, like, Dragon Age Origins worked in a fairly similar way, except that it had basically, like, the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII to help, like, where you tell your allies specifically what actions to do under what circumstances, and sort of, like, meta-program how battles are going to go and how all of your people are going to be responding to things, and that made it very fun. But without that, is pretty much what Knights of the Old Republic is, and it's just not very fun to do. Like I said, there's a lot to like about the game. I'm glad that I finally played it. The famous twist is legitimately very good, and actually in some ways pulled off better than I even realized, even though the twist itself had been spoiled for me ahead of time. And it's really good. It's just not a very fun game at all, and in a lot of ways I sort of struggled to... there's a reason I've started it twice and never finished it until now. I'm really, since they're remaking it soon, I really hope that they successfully manage to keep the spirit of what the game is and what's good about the game, while also making it, enjoyable to actually play. Because that would be pretty great. So yeah.
So there's this game called Overboard, and it is a murder mystery game. And by that I mean you are the murderer, you kill your husband, now try to hide the body and make sure no one can find you.
Oh.
Wow.
And I am apparently either terrible at this game or I am missing something important while I'm reading through it. Because I have done multiple endings at this point and I have gotten caught, my character has died. I have not found an ending where she gets off completely scot-free. I've been trying to avoid looking at any sort of walkthroughs, but I'm considering that I am just absolutely terrible at it, and I respect that. I respect that about this game, that I'm bad at being a serial killer on a boat. That's fine. I get it. But there's just like different dialogue options, and I apparently pick the wrong ones consistently. Or I pick the wrong places to go consistently, and I just run to every single bad ending possible.
That would be me.
I've unlocked all the bad endings but one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like if I played that game, I would be in the same boat as you, but I have put it on my wish list now.
It's fun, but it's just, you're sitting there going, all right, how do I not get murdered myself?
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
And there is one, okay. So I'm a big Harvest Moon Story of Seasons, basically Story of Seasons, which progressed from Harvest Moon, which that whole fiasco. But I've been playing Story of Seasons. This is the most recent games that I've been playing. I liked the remake of Friends of Mineral Town. That was fun, and I've been playing that. But there was also Pioneers of Olive Town. And I don't know if anyone's heard anything about the launch of that game, but it is not great.
I don't think I've heard anything about that game. Like, it's not a genre I follow a lot, but I still would have expected I would have heard something. Huh.
I am a big fan of the cozy, fun farming genre. But dear sweet everything, Pioneers of Olive Town, it has so many good elements to it, but it feels so dead. Like, I can tell that they did not finish this game before pushing it out there. It's not like security breach levels of y'all didn't playtest this, but it's right around that area where there's certain machines that you have to do in order to process materials in order to build with the said materials, but you have to build multiple ones of those machines all in a row on your property rather than just shoving everything into one at once and just waiting for the consequences. No, you have to build like 8 of them in order to process the 8 of them. And it's tedious. And I've had to take multiple breaks from it because I really want to get further in it because I am interested in certain aspects of it, and I kind of like the NPCs and everything. I think they're kind of fun. But I just keep going back to Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town's remake, because at least with that one, I know where I stand the entire time, and I don't have to make 800 little machines in order to do a single task.
Huh.
Jeez.
They're patching stuff, and like things are getting fixed, but it's not the best entry in the series, and I severely regret pre-ordering it. That's the first game I've pre-ordered in a long time, so it kicked me right in the stomach on that one.
That the Friends of Mineral Town is on my list. So what was the other one called?
Pioneers of Olive Town.
Okay, so I won't try that one anytime soon.
Yeah, just keep an eye on the patches because I think they're gonna end up fixing it, but it's a shame that it was launched in the state it was. Similarly to how Outer Worlds was launched, it has that sort of feel. Like, y'all didn't playtest this, did you? Kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And also a kind of hard game, Death and Taxes.
Interesting, okay.
I did hear about that one a bit.
Yeah.
You are a Grim Reaper. Your job is you are processing the souls to see where they go. Like, do they go up or down? Basic, kind of standard Grim Reaper stuff. And all you can guarantee is death and taxes. That's it.
Okay.
You don't go, it's not up or down. It's basically like, do you mark these people for death or do you let them live longer and see what consequences it has for the world? That's what it is. Sorry. But the problem is that you don't really know, like, it's hard to get a feel for if what you're doing is the right action or the wrong action, because sometimes you think, oh, well, this person sounds like a good deal, like he's a philanthropist, blah, 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 or something like, oh, well, they're an activist. Well, turns out they made everything worse. And it's really hard to gauge sometimes. I think it's a fascinating game to show, like how certain extremes can necessarily be bad and all of that. But I sometimes think that it goes a little too far in one direction where it's a little ridiculous. And I don't know if I unlocked any of the good endings, but I unlocked a bunch of the bad ones, similarly to the murder one. But you can customize your Grim Reaper, and that's what's important.
Oh, that's actually really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty snazzy.
I think I just bought that on the Switch, actually, because it was on sale. So maybe I'll play that very soon. It's
fun, but it is a little hard to figure out what ending you're going to get unless you look it up.
I will say one of my harder games that I played this year was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, that is an interesting one.
Yeah, because that, so I didn't really know much about the game going into it. And I started playing that, and this was after playing Bloodborne. And I realized that it was considered to be like a Souls-like game. And I really struggled with the gameplay that they put in there. Like, I think maybe I was just trying... How do I put this? I think I was just being impatient with the game, to be honest. And I never really mastered playing it. Like, I started... Like, it was like, oh, if you're comfortable with... action games, then you should be on this difficulty. And I chose like the standard difficulty. And by the end of it, I had knocked it down all the way to the easiest because I was just so frustrated with it that I just struggled so much. I think if I had given it a bit more patient with it, maybe I could have gotten the timing and stuff to the enemies, but I was just so... I just struggled so much and I was dying and I'd have to retread really far areas and it was just a mess. So I really struggled with that game. Beautiful game. And has a good story too, but I really struggled with that one. That was arguably more challenging for me than Bloodborne. I mean, I know I had obviously you were there, Sam, helping, but I don't know, something about Star Wars, just that Jedi Fallen Order never clicked with me. So I really struggled with that.
Yeah, I get that. It's a weird one. I honestly kind of attribute it. I know that it's kind of simple, but I kind of attribute it to the fact that the combat feels like a Souls-like, even though the whole Souls combat thing is kind of meant to feel like you're a dude in heavy armor with a big sword and you're, kind of lumbering and stuff as a result. Lightsabers weigh nothing.
Yeah.
And it honestly feels like it's so weird for the game to feel that way when it looks the way it does. And I don't know. I got the hang of it eventually, but it took me a good while. I died a lot of stupid ways when I first started playing that just because it really didn't seem like it should feel the way it does.
It's interesting.
I get that.
Yeah, it's interesting you put it that way because I remember talking with somebody that I worked with and they were like, when I mentioned it being Souls-like, they said to me, yeah, it's much more like Dark Souls than Bloodborne in that it's slow. Because one of the things I complained about was that anytime I tried to move, I felt like my character was so slow moving that I felt like there was like a lack of control, and which makes me a bit nervous to eventually play Dark Souls. But I guess we'll get to that once we get to it. But
yeah.
I
mean, if you're playing Demon Souls now, Dark Souls isn't much different. So
I'm enjoying Demon Souls. So maybe.
Well, there you go. Good.
But yeah, that was my hard one. I mean, Bloodborne, like I said, was also hard, but with that game, I feel like I at least was, like, I could make a mistake and I could say, okay, right, that was on me. Where in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I was like, what did I do? Like, I'd be so frustrated. So, yeah, that was a very, very difficult one for me. Okay, so how about we move on to, because I know we talked about this before recording, but I know we all have a lot of games that we didn't finish this year. We started but didn't finish. What were some of those?
Honestly, I talked about them. Oh, okay, yeah, you go. Go, Red.
Sorry.
Oh, man, I haven't finished that yet either. Dang it. Okay, sorry, go on.
Kingdoms of Amalur, The Re-Reckoning. I finished it just this past week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I didn't finish it last year, but I finished it just this year.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
But, yeah, no, Kingdoms of Amalur: The Re-Reckoning was the game that I have put off playing because I've had it for the 360, but my 360 red ringed a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I just been putting it off, and when I found The Re-Reckoning came out and it was on PlayStation Now, and I just went, well, Redemption Arc, let's go. And I have enjoyed myself immensely. I have some issues with the game. I'm going to talk about them in a video myself that I'm working on. It is so much fun to customize your character and how you play, and you can make any build broken, and it doesn't matter. You can break the game so easily, it does not matter.
Yep.
The story is fine. If you are into high fantasy and you're like, the Fae and all of these creatures, then you'll probably vibe with it. But if you're like me and you're like, okay, this is interesting, but then after several hundred more lines of dialogue, you're going, can we talk about something else outside of the world? Anything else? Character development? Anything? No? Cool. All right, we're just going to talk about the world some more. Okay. Gonna walk over here with my cool powers. Bye. And also, that one also doesn't really have romance, but you can romance pretty much everyone. Or you can romance multiple characters, and it doesn't matter if you play a male or a female character. It does not matter. I romanced, apparently, one of the biggest villains in the game on accident.
Oh, nice.
She's my wife now. Oops.
Wait, and when you say you can romance multiple characters, do you mean there are multiple romance options, or you can romance multiple characters simultaneously?
You can romance multiple characters simultaneously. It does not matter.
Okay, well, I do need to play more of this again, because I have been getting so frustrated with Mass Effect Andromeda has multiple characters that are explicitly non-monogamous that still doesn't let me date multiple of them at once. It doesn't let you kiss them or anything. Straight up, I again romanced a villain, a evil villain. I straight up, because I go, your story's actually kind of sad. And she goes, do you want to rule with me, my love? And I went, yeah, sure, why not?
I love that response.
Yeah, all right. I guess you're my wife now. Let's go. And that is how I became the ruler of the House of Balance. You have the option to romance the evil. And it's just it is a side quest, but you straight up can just romance the villain of that quest. On complete accident, like me. Because I was just like, all right. Well, because it was either that or kill her, and I went, well, I feel kind of bad for you. And the other guy was kind of a jerk, so sure, why not? And the ending, there's also, since in Kingdoms of Amalur, for anyone who hasn't not played, each time you pick a path in one of the side quests, it pops up with a little custom art depending on what you chose, and it gives you different bonuses depending on what you chose. And for the one where I picked the villain, it shows me burning the good, the banner of this Fae house down to the ground.
Oh boy.
And I went, I feel like if the endings mattered in this game, this would be much more of a detriment, but nope, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. The endings don't matter. But I have a Fey wife now, and I also have a Pirate Queen wife, and I also have another Fey wife. So I'm married to 3 women.
Well, okay, yeah, 10 out of 10 best game.
Right.
I need to get it. I need to get on that.
Literally.
Or get back on that.
Right. Literally took the words out of my mouth.
I'm like, well, I guess this is Kingdoms of Amalur. Look at all my wives.
You know, I'd play that. That sounds great.
It really does, honestly.
It's so much fun. It was so out there, and like the romances are not well written at all. Like they just happen, and they just happen out of nowhere, and you just go, oh, okay, I guess I'm in a romance with you now. Sure. It's like you could tell that they were not intending people to get all of the romances, but I connect all of them.
Yes, good.
I got all of the options.
That's really the only way to play, I think, from what I'm...
See, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing in Final Fantasy XIV, except that you can't romance anyone in Final Fantasy XIV, so it's all headcanon.
Wait, you can't?
Nope. I mean, you can marry other players, actually, and it gets you a little ring that lets you warp to each other immediately, and gets you, like, bridal clothing and stuff, and you can hug each other. I think there's, like, a special emote that 2 people can do. So you can do that, but the actual characters in the game, there is no romance, only constantly falling in love with them and deciding that you're with them, even though the game doesn't acknowledge it.
That is interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
That and coming up with cute outfits are, like, half the game when it comes down to it.
Very interesting. That's just very surprising to me.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Kingdoms of I've been playing that one too, actually, but it's been a little while. I need to get back on it because it's a fun one.
I'm trying to remember what else that I did not finish. I haven't finished the new Pokemon Snap yet.
How was that so far, though?
So far, it's good. It's just getting back to it is what's just kind of...
That happens to so many good games for me, so I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I love this, and then I put it down to do something else and never pick it up again for some reason.
Right.
I hate it.
Yeah, and I started Tales of Berseria finally after all this time, and I've been having fun, but at the same time, I have to take breaks from it because it just, like, the gameplay, I love the Tales gameplay. It's just a lot of fun for me, just that kind of fighting game-esque thing. That's some fun gameplay, and the characters are usually fun, so I'm good with it. Good, solid-ish writing for a lot of them. I love Berseria, but the voice acting, Japanese or English, it's so loud. Even when you turn it almost all the way down, it is so loud that if you for some reason, I don't know if it's just my TV, and I even didn't notice it on my PC when I was playing it there, so I go, why do we have everybody having the loudest possible attacks all the time? Compared to Symphonia, where everybody did also have their screams, but they had audio balancing, I don't know what happened in Berseria. Like, the audio balance, the gain is so huge and swelling that I feel like it just punches my eardrums when they do certain attacks, and I have to keep it just down to such a degree that I'm like, ugh.
Oh, weird.
But I like it a lot. I like Berseria a lot. It's definitely the darkest of the tones of the Tales games that I've played so far. It's not bad. Velvet's outfit still bothers me. I know why it's there. I know the symbolism. Her outfit still bothers me immensely. Because she kills so many people in armor. I just go, put a chainmail bikini on. Anything else. Just anything else at this point, Velvet.
I feel like I could say the same about Kaine and Nier Replicant.
Yeah.
But because I love Kaine so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing, is we stand Kaine anyway.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's the kind of thing, I stand Velvet, like, very hard, and it throws me off that her English voice actress is Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon.
Oh, fun.
Just every time I go, Mars, I'm like,
so
Mars,
the best one then.
Yeah, every time I go, is it the entire cast of Sailor Moon? Oh my god. My Sailor Moon heart soars. I'm like, yes. But honestly, I think those were the main games that I didn't finish. Because I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Because I haven't finished Ender Lilies. I'm still working my way through Brilliant Diamond.
I've never heard of that one.
Pokemon.
Pokemon Brilliant Diamond.
Oh.
The
The remake of Pokemon Diamond.
I didn't even know there was a remake. Okay.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a few of them. You know, Heart Gold and Soul Silver and...
Wait, really? Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yep.
Also, they remade Monster Rancher 1 and 2.
Oh boy. I never did play those, but I've heard they're very fun.
It is very fun. It is very addictive. I have already lost hours. We started it last year at the very end of the year, and now I'm starting to play through it. And it is just as addictive as it is before. You train a monster, you fight it in tournaments. There is no exploration aspects to the first or the second game. It is just entirely monster care. But it's still a lot of fun, and it's one of those. I actually recommend this if it's on sale. Maybe if someone is into monster training games and they want to like really focus on it, you'll get your hours worth. But also just kind of keep in mind that it's a time sink. And also you can type in random names of random. How you find your monsters is you type in names of music CDs.
What?
Yep. This is how you find your species of monsters. You type in music CDs because in the old game, it was on the PlayStation, so you used like random CDs you find around your house and you get a monster from the code that was on there. But since it's on the Switch now, they have pre-selected music CDs that was already loaded into the game that's being updated every time the game updates.
Oh.
Interesting.
And they have custom monsters for each one.
Wow.
With different stats and colorations and certain things. And you can also fuse your monsters and it gives them different appearances. It's a fun little customizable game. I would never not recommend it for someone that likes that sort of thing, but also it is, again, a time sink and you will lose hours. And if you are not good at time management, you will lose yourself in this game.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
Let's see. Well, I already mentioned some that I haven't finished, like Halo Infinite and Deathloop. Let's see. I have started replaying Psychonauts, because I never did finish that one either, and I want to. And Psychonauts 2 came out this year, and I have heard nothing but like just absolutely overflowing praise for it. So I want to, play the first one and then play the second one. So, yeah. Let's see. I also started playing The House in Fata Morgana. Because I have been, I was paid to analyze it actually an embarrassingly long amount of time ago, and so I'm working on that now. It is a visual novel that is so far very good, and also kind of, I want to, like, it's dark, but I don't want to make that sound like it's, edgy or whatever. It's just a story about some very serious things. And it is very interesting so far. I'm enjoying it. So let's see, what other... I feel like there's a really big one that I've, started and haven't finished, and I'm working on that I am forgetting, but I'm not remembering it right now, so I guess I'll just mention Final Fantasy XIV again since I'm still playing that, and then, if I remember the other one, I will say it.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to just, when you remember it, just call out.
Yep, just interrupt whatever you two are.
Exactly.
Just yell out the name of the game.
Fine.
Exactly. So I have a few that I didn't finish playing. One was, unfortunately, I hate to say this because I know it's a really good game, but Hollow Knight, that one got a little too difficult for me. And I guess one thing I will say is that I was playing it, I think around in November, and I will admit that my desire to sort of complete a bunch of games before the end of the year kind of kicked in, and I think I was a bit impatient with it. So when I got to the 25-hour mark, I'm like, that's it, I can't do this anymore, I need to play a different game. So I ended up putting it down. It's a game that I would like to return to one day, but I really struggle with it. I find it to be very challenging, but a very beautiful game, that's for sure. But I just, I was struggling, so I had to put it down.
I remembered.
There you go. Good.
Fatal Frame 5.
Okay.
The Maiden of Blackwater. I mean, I don't know if anyone here saw that I made my Fatal Frame analysis last year, but I love the Fatal Frame series a lot. It's a classic horror series that unfortunately sort of fell by the wayside as the games stopped getting localized over here and also stopped being as good. But the original trilogy is some of my favorite horror video game stuff ever. It's like haunted house stuff where you have to fight ghosts with a camera, and so the original trilogy at least is set in like, classic old-timey fixed camera angles, but then to fight the ghosts with the camera, you have to go into first person and look straight at them and take pictures of them, and it's very good and scary and just amazing, and I love them. And they released Fatal Frame 5 on the Wii U, which, like, I had a Wii U, but I was one of, like, 5 people who had a Wii U, and like those other 5 people, I didn't do all that much on it unless I had to. So I never did actually play it, but they re-released it on, like, all modern consoles and PC this year, and so I finally got to play it. I don't love a lot of things about it. They abandoned the fixed camera angles for one, and I know that a lot of people just kind of hate fixed camera angles unilaterally, but I think that's wrong. I think they're very good in certain contexts, and these games are one of them, and I'm kind of sad that they're gone. But it still does a pretty good job of doing some, freaky stuff with it. I'm partway through it, but despite some, like, cheesy voice acting, like some clearly kind of low budget localization and such, that's always been an issue with the series, but I am enjoying it nonetheless. And then the other one that I forgot to mention was Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah.
What dungeon?
Red, have you not heard of Boyfriend Dungeon?
I have not been paying attention, apparently.
I am surprised right
Red,
now.
okay. It is a dungeon crawler, like pseudo roguelike, I guess, dungeon crawler, where your weapons turn into shape-shifting people that you can kiss.
I'm so used to games that are like, they're pets, but now they're your boyfriend. So now I'm like, oh, okay, so they're weapons, and now they're your boyfriend. Okay, so
exactly. Boyfriend and girlfriend, yes. They have multiple, there are multiple, like, types of people, and they're all very good. And it actually got a whole bunch of controversy because there's one character in it who is a total creep and, does, like, creepy things, like there's like some stalking and stuff going on in it, and he's clearly, the antagonist. And the game's content warning just wasn't quite clear enough for some people, I guess, and it started this whole fervor about, like, oh, you shouldn't have stuff like that in your dating game. And I'm like, you can put what you want in your dating game, whatever. He's the bad guy, like, but it was a whole thing. But no, it's a very, very fun game. It's a very cute dating sim. And also, that problem of what I said before, where I want more games to allow me to be non-monogamous. It does not, at least so far, it has not railroaded me into committing solely to only one character, and I love that. It's very fun, it's very cute, you can date your swords, and that is fun. So, yes, it's good. I'm enjoying it so far. I need to finish it. Anyway, yes, those are the two that I forgot, so Danielle, you may continue.
Well, okay, this is not a game, I did finish this game, but you just mentioned dating swords, and so I have to talk about Transistor for a second. That was, I think, the last game I played this, or 2021, actually.
I don't remember if I knew you beat that. Oh, this is exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the ending, but we can't. After this, we're talking about the ending.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can get sad.
I will say, like, just, like, generally speaking, I really, really liked it. And I also played Bastion earlier this year, so 2 Supergiant games in a year. Can't complain about that.
Wait, that means Pyre is next.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Danielle, I'm so excited for you to play Pyre.
Finally, someone else that has played Pyre.
I feel like
someone else that.
I feel like nobody talks about that.
No,
they don't.
They only talk about the other 3.
I actually don't hear anybody talk about Transistor half the time. They go, oh yeah, Bastion, and then Hades, and I go, what about? There's 2 more.
I don't know if I've heard that. Like, man, because Transistor is very good, but yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because
The point is they're all good. Sorry, go on.
yeah, well, yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard all of them are good so far. Bastion was really good, and Transistor was really good. So I'm excited to get into the other two, because also Hades is one I haven't touched yet either. But I'm trying to play them in order. So yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely see, they don't have to be, obviously, since none of them are connected, but you can
Yeah.
definitely see, this studio sort of starting out and then growing, and sort of see elements from previous
Yeah.
games reworked into major parts of the next ones, and, it's really neat.
Honestly, that's what I loved about Transistor, was just how much it reminded me of Bastion, but felt entirely like its own separate game. Like it was just so good. And what I loved about Transistor was, because I had started to play it, forget when, but like maybe in the summertime, and then I ended up putting it down because I was having trouble with the combat. And then I picked it up again, and I just found it to be so clever of how it does, like, okay, I'm blanking on what the term is, but like turn-based gameplay. Like, I thought how it approached that was so clever. I've never personally seen that in a game. And it just made me, like, I loved strategizing, and because I struggle with turn-based gameplay, so I liked that this, like, sort of reworking of it and restyling it to something completely original as far as I've seen, and it was just a lot of fun. And I love the soundtrack too. So good.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Just, yeah. It's very, very good. I liked it a lot. But I did finish that one. So, in terms of other games that I didn't finish, so, I started to replay Banjo-Tooie, and, that is a game I finished in the past. I tried to replay it this year, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. That game, I think I was mentioning this to you, Sam, at some point, but I feel like Banjo-Tooie is a platformer at its heart, but also, like, I would argue it's partially a Metroidvania, and I think I'm realizing that I don't like Metroidvanias. I like watching them. I like watching people play them, but me personally, I just can't do it. I don't know. Because that's where I struggle with. I mean, Hollow Knight was hard, but also it being a Metroidvania, like, I hated all, like, the backtracking and stuff. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So Banjo-Tooie, I was like, you know what? I've played you before. I don't need to do it again. So, and another one, so it's interesting because, another game that I ended up not finishing was Octopath Traveler. Which is interesting. So this is not a game that I've given up on, but I said I struggle with turn-based combat, and that's partially the reason why I ended up putting it down, because all of the encounters, like, constantly just trying to walk around and getting the encounters, I was like, all right, this is a lot. But it's just funny because when I bought this game, I bought it around the same time I bought Fire Emblem, and I sort of kind of grouped the two together, and I was like, well, I know I'm going to put a lot of hours into these, so I always thought that Octopath would be the one that I would sink more of my time into, and boy, did that flip quite a bit. But it's not, again, I don't want to give up on the game because I think the art style is so beautiful. Like, I love the pixel art, and I love the music in Octopath Traveler so much. It's what made me want to play the game in the first place. So I don't want to give up on it. I really don't. And I think, like, who did I pick? I think I picked Primrose as my character. I don't know if either of you played it. So.
Oh no, you
Played the demo.
You picked Primrose as your main character. She's one of the hardest ones to start with.
Of course, yeah.
Was Primrose the one in the demo?
They all were in the demo.
She's the dancer.
I thought there were only like two of them in the demo. Okay,
No.
yeah. So I think I played her part in the demo, but yeah.
I mean, in terms of what I've heard of the characters, like, she seems to be the one, like, I liked my choice, but now that you're saying that, Red, like, who would you say would be the easiest character to start with? Because maybe I will try easy and
Probably Oberon. Basically the warrior guy, Oberon. He's pretty easy. Yeah, the kind of generic warrior guy. He's pretty easy from what I've been told.
His music theme is very good.
His music theme is very good. I like his character. He was just the last guy that I grabbed.
Oh, interesting.
when I was going around, because I started with the other hardest character to start as in Hanette, which was the archer that has the beast taming stuff.
Oh, okay.
I started with her, and apparently she is also one of the hardest characters to play.
Okay, fun.
Because I want pets, and that was what I did. But no, honestly, Oberon is allegedly hard. Alfred, the apothecary guy, he's pretty easy. Oberon and him are easier to start with, from what I've been told, because that Alfred has his heals and he has big damage, and Oberon just has big damage. And you can grind a lot easier with him because that you can just provoke people in the streets with his ability and fight with him and just grind up his EXP and make him really strong. That's how I grind up with Hanette.
Okay.
That's why she's my highest leveled character.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to return to it then, because it's such a pretty game, and it looks so I'm so excited to uncover the story. And I was really enjoying Primrose's story, honestly. But yeah, I just struggled.
Sad.
It's sad, yeah. It was actually way heavier than I expected, I think, but her story, I guess, is heavier than some of the other ones.
Yeah, Hanette's is pretty, I need to find my master. I don't know where he went. I'm gonna go slay some monsters. But yeah, her story is a lot. I would say hers is the darkest at first, and then you meet everybody else's stories, which a lot of their opening quests are just kind of not as dark as Primrose's, but then the later quests down the line, it gets progressively darker, and there are some twists and turns that you do not expect.
Okay.
Particularly Cyrus's stuff and Alfred stuff.
This is why I want to play through I want to play through it so badly. I just struggled again. I struggle with the turn-based combat and random encounters. It feels very tedious to me very quickly. So
that is interesting, because you played through the original Final Fantasy VII before the remake, didn't you? And that has all that stuff.
I hated that. I love Final Fantasy VII to death, but I did the thing where there's 3 buttons you can click.
Oh yeah, you did the cheat things, yeah.
Yeah, because I just wanted to experience the story. I really struggled with that game. I would love to replay it and actually master it, but yeah, I was not a fan of the combat, which I hate to say because there's so many great turn-based games, and I don't want to shy away from them by any means, but I do struggle quite a bit. Which makes me nervous, because I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy X is turn-based, so...
Yeah. It is, but combat moves a bit faster because a lot of characters hit like a truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10 feels very different in a lot of ways. It's also a lot more every enemy has a very specific weakness that you know exactly which of your characters has them, so it's very much more mix and match kind of thing. Yeah, it is turn-based, but it feels pretty different anyway.
What is your weakness, little boy? I'm weak to volleyballs hitting me in the face. Well, good thing I have one. Boom.
Yep. Love a game where your weapons are swords, magic, and volleyball.
I actually I actually get that just because of Kingdom Hearts. That's it.
Oh yeah, you would.
That's right.
Yeah, because you can fight him
Waka.
and
Waka.
Destiny Island. Yeah, Waka.
Yeah.
Oh, good times. Yeah. My other 2 that I gave up on, one was Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, which is the quote unquote sequel to Breath of the Wild, or not really, but kind of. And I never played. What type of genre is that game? I forget.
It's a very specific genre of hack and slash. I forget what it's called. It's a genre that pretty much only really exists in Dynasty Warriors games and other games made by them to be like Dynasty Warriors games.
Okay, yeah. I think
so. Yeah.
Okay, I think I was thinking of Dynasty Warriors. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a word for it. I forget. I'll try and look that up while you talk about it.
Okay, yeah. I was so excited for this game, like anything Breath of the Wild, because I'm patiently waiting for the second one. So I'm like, oh yes, I can't wait to play this. And I just got so tired of it felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to play this anymore. I'm fine. I didn't find the story that investing either, so I was like, I'll be okay not experiencing it. But just, I've heard like Dynasty Warriors is like you're literally just facing like hordes of enemies at a time and doing these long missions, and it just feels like the same thing over and over. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't finish it. But the other game,
Musou is the word.
Oh.
Musou.
Interesting.
Musou game, and yeah, it is pretty much like the very specific type of hack and slash game that pretty much only that series belongs to. So
it's a shame because I love I mean, hey, I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. Like I love the hack and slash kind of thing, but I don't know. Maybe if I'd given a little more time to it, maybe I would have found something that I would have caught me. But I found also that I stuck to using Link a lot, and when I would switch characters, I didn't like their play styles, which is kind of the whole point of having multiple characters to choose from. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I don't have to play this. But the other game that I gave up on, but I am going to play sometime this year, was Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I forget it. That's the second one, right?
It is the second one, and I probably would have kept going with it, but I was like very early on in the game, and I ended up like, so in the game, I forget what it's called, but like you can press a button and it will show you like where your goal area is, and you can make your way toward it. And so I kept doing that, but I couldn't find the path to get to where I needed to go. And I like circled the area multiple times, and I was like, you know what? We're going to come back to this later. I didn't even look up a guide. So I never found my way out. It was like 2 hours. Like, I'm not kidding. Because enemies would spawn from time to time. So I would fight them. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe they were the ones I had to fight to move forward. But no, like, I don't know what I was supposed to do. I couldn't find my way out. It was a little like frustrating, but I'm going to go back to it. And if I can't find my way again, the trusty internet will be there to guide me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I still have to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but I'm in what is apparently kind of a minority in that I really did not like Rise of the Tomb Raider very much. I liked the first one, but I was very annoyed when the first one was basically the story of Lara, like, sort of gaining independence and learning to, like, take care of things on her, like, learning to be a very, powerful and independent, and yeah, like, that was kind of a lot of the story of the first one. And then the second one is just kind of all like, but what does my life even mean if not for the stuff my dad did? And like, I was not really into that. And then I was even more annoyed that the movie basically took the story of the first one and inserted the dad stuff from the second one, and I was like, no, stop, bad. So yeah, I don't know, but
I mean,
it had a lot of fun platforming stuff.
I was gonna, yeah. The first game, I kind of feel like, I mean, I haven't obviously made my way through Rise of the Tomb Raider yet, so I feel like generally I do agree with you. I enjoy these games. I really enjoyed the first one, but I wouldn't say the story is the strongest. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, so I tend to, I don't know, like I enjoy the games, like, or the first game for what it was. I wasn't over the moon to continue the series, but I do want to go through it at some point. So
yeah,
that will be something I'll tackle this year. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, because I have a friend who loves these games, and she always raves about them. So I would like to at least play through them once. But yeah. And actually, speaking of story, are there any games, or can we talk about the games that we played this year that had the best story?
I mean, we already talked about my favorite games this year, so we've already talked about all of my games that had the best story.
Fair. Yeah.
I would say that of the games that I played, oh gosh, did I even play all that many games, like, with a particularly, like, I'm thinking through Returnal, Resident Evil, Ratchet and Clank, like, they all had good stories, but, not, like, super amazing. The only major one that I can think of for that is definitely Endwalker. Just, man, Final Fantasy XIV story's really good. It's really, really good. it's it's so good. So that's that, I guess. That's my really good story game for this year.
How about you, Red?
Like, Final Fantasy X. That's all I've got. No, actually no. Final Fantasy X, Outer Worlds. Those are kind of the obvious ones in terms of like if we're going by the supercalifragilistic triple-A dosis. But if I could go with and just throw another indie game at your way.
No, indie games don't count. Yes, of course you could go with an indie game.
I'm gonna just throw another one your way. Hey, so the Flower Collectors, I actually think it has had one of the better stories I did this year.
Okay.
It is about this super special. It takes place in Barcelona in 1977, like during I don't remember if it was after the Civil War or like before this. Like I think it's like right after the Spanish Civil War happened.
Okay.
And it's about an ex-cop. He's in a wheelchair, and he witnesses a murder, and he finds out that this young reporter, not reporter really, but like this young like activist, she also witnessed the murder, and she runs up and because she sees him looking, and she runs up and she's like, "Can you help me?" And you can like find out because he's an ex-cop, and you can and ex-military and ex-cop and ex-military, so you can kind of gauge it, and you can collect certain like achievements and such. And basically, the more information you find out, the more likely you'll be able to solve the case. And if you basically you could stick with being part of the law and part of the system, and eventually turn her in, and I don't know the ending for that, but because I was like, no, fight this power, let's go, and we exposed an entire corrupted part of the regime. And it's a cool detective mystery. It's not extremely, like, amazingly written, but for what it is actually surprisingly competent. But the weird thing is that everybody is an anthropomorphic animal that is in a low polygon form. I'm not sure why the graphics are so weirdly low poly in this, but here we are. But that's actually probably the best story I played this year that is not Final Fantasy and or Outer Worlds. I think, like, I would also say arguably Signs of Sojourner also could qualify, but I didn't get as many endings for that one, so I don't know about the other endings. The ending I got was pretty good, but that's it. Like, the writing of the game depends on how you play it. So that's more of a mixed bag.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd say, honestly, Flower Collectors, which I think came out in 2019, 2000 maybe? Or not 2000, 2020? 2000, oh god.
I'm looking at it now, it says 2021, actually.
What? Oh, wait a minute, is that the Switch release?
Oh, maybe, yeah, it is the Switch release, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, Steam release came out on 2020. I played the Switch release, but I saw that it came on sale on the Steam release, and I was like, oh, cool. Or the Switch release, and I played it on the Switch. It's actually a little bit better on the Switch, from what I've been told, because it's the portability that lets things be a little bit easier.
Oh, okay.
But I'd recommend it, honestly, if it's on sale, I'd recommend it more than anything else, because I would not buy it for the full price of $19.99. I would buy it for the price of $9. Like, it is a $10 game. It is not a $20 game. It is a $10 game.
Okay.
That's my take on that. Spend your money on whatever you want, kids. Don't have to listen to me.
Red's got the hot takes.
I have all the hot takes. The soundtrack is really good, though. That's the only reason I would buy the Steam version at all, would be to get the soundtrack for. What is it? Is it only $2 right now as of recording this on the 28th? But the soundtrack's pretty good. Just saying, listen to it in your spare time. Really, it's a really surprisingly good game. It went under the radar for a lot of people. Would recommend checking it out if you're interested.
Added it to my wish list once again. Like, I feel like so. I mean, kind of like you said, Sam, and like you sort of reiterated, Red, with talking about Final Fantasy X. Like, a lot of my favorite games were the ones that had the best story, but in my opinion, but one of the games that I didn't mention that I played, like the very first game I played last year was The Walking Dead.
Ooh.
Oh, like the first season of the Telltale one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. How are you okay?
Yeah, really?
Oh. I don't know.
I tell you, I cry pretty easily in things, but the end of that game absolutely wrecked me. I was a mess.
That entire game, like, first of all, like I'd heard so much about it, and like in terms of the story, and it didn't disappoint. It's so good, and like you said, so sad. I'm honestly kind of, now that I've played it, afraid to play the other seasons because I haven't heard good things, so like I don't want to ruin it for myself. I don't know if either of you have played the other seasons.
Yes.
I've only played season 2. I've heard that 3 isn't very good, and then 4 is very good. Like I've heard that 4 is actually quite good.
I need to get farther in 4. There is a bit of a gameplay snafu at one point that I have noticed.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with the dialogue or anything like that. It actually has everything to do with, there is a part where it straight up becomes a first-person shooter, and it was clearly not designed for that.
Weird. Okay.
Yep.
That is
there was
weird.
Yeah, it's for just an entire sequence. It is just of FPS.
Huh. Strange. Like, because like the first season had that, that I think just one, maybe a couple bits where you had to like click on zombies to shoot them or whatever, but like an actual FPS?
No, it has the same click, like the clicking thing,
okay.
But something's off about it. Again, it's like a game feel thing. I have not been able to get farther in it, and without getting frustrated, but I have not tried it on my new laptop, so maybe that was it. It could very well be my 11-year-old laptop was going, please kill me, while I was playing it, so... But yeah, I have played the first and second and third seasons.
Okay.
The third season is not great. The Lost Frontier, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only parts you care about are the ones that Clementine is in. That is the only point that you care about it in the slightest.
Why are there parts of the game that don't have Clementine? Why?
They focus on a different family. At first I was kind of into it because I was going, oh, okay, maybe this will be a little unique. It's not.
Clementine, though, you can't just... I love Clementine.
Yeah, she gets sidelined pretty hard in the third game, and I think, and it does not help that the other main characters are, to me, annoying. They are annoying. I understand that I'm getting used to a new group of survivors again, but after this group of survivors in 2 being the worst possible people to leave a young child with.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Getting this new group of survivors who have 2 young children does not help matters when Clementine shows up like the awesome character that she is, and I'm going, can we please just focus on Clementine?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yep.
Also, you get romance options in Walking Dead Season 4.
Oh, okay.
Clementine,
good for Clem.
She's growing up.
Yep.
Honestly, that's where I'm most invested. I would love to see what happens with Clementine, but I have, basically what you're saying is what I have heard, that it doesn't focus. I mean, obviously she is...
Oh, 2, it still focuses on her hardcore.
2 it focuses on her.
Oh, okay.
It seems like that's just a 3 thing.
Oh, it's just a 3. Okay.
Yeah, basically 3, if you want to, really, you can just skip and then go to 4.
Okay.
There will be still gaps in it where you won't know what's going on, but honestly, you could go 1, 2, and then 4, and then watch the cutscenes on YouTube, and you'll be fine. You will not miss a whole lot.
Okay. I mean, I will say, I also, one of the things, like I loved the story in the game, but I did struggle with like the game feel elements of it. I didn't love playing it, but I loved the story. So I'm hesitant to play another, what's the developer again?
Telltale?
Yeah, Telltale. Yeah, I mean, I've heard so many good things about their games, but I did not really enjoy playing the game. Again, I loved the story. It was so good. But I wasn't.
Yeah, there are definitely like highs and lows in their catalog. I'd say that Wolf Among Us is 100% worth playing. It's extremely good.
Okay.
And I forget if you played Borderlands, but Tales from the Borderlands is also shocking. Like I had no expectation that was such a weird thing to even do, but it is also actually quite good.
Okay.
They also, I think, did a pretty good job with their Game of Thrones one, but I never did actually finish the whole season.
I got almost all the way up to the end, I can say, from what I played. It's one of those... It was fine? Like, basically...
I really enjoyed, like, the first 2 episodes. I forget exactly how far I got, though.
I think I got up to episode 4, like, and I got about halfway through it, and then I just ADHD'd and tapped out. Because I was getting to the point where I go, this whole family's gonna get wiped out at this point. Just
yeah.
And I know that that's kind of the vibe of Game of Thrones as a property, but at this point,
right.
at a point where I go, listen, I've played games that have had hopeless endings before, and at least they feel like they deserved it. This one, the entire vibe of the game is just, everything's terrible because it's Game of Thrones. And I go, could you not have told a different story that does not result in this?
It definitely, I feel like we, like, as a culture went through a bit of a time, like, with Game of Thrones and all that, where we were like, yeah, it's great when stories are, like, have the balls to kill off their characters and be just realistic about it. Like, there's a place for that, but I feel like we sort of moved past that and into what's actually surprising? When everyone survives and it's just good and happy.
Right.
Because you just don't expect that anymore, and I've seen so many things that could, kill off a character for cheap dramatic effect or whatever, but instead just decide, what? No, everyone's okay, and it's going to be good, and I like that.
Which is a shame because I agree with you, and it's a shame to me that, like, just a little tangent for a second, that, like, Game of Thrones is the thing that did that, because I genuinely, I have my opinions about the show, but, like, I love the books a lot, and I'm always like, damn, why? Like, just this, all the trends that the show and partially the books created, I'm always a little bitter about it, which is why I've sort of avoided the Game of Thrones Telltale games, because I'm like, I'm such a snob when it comes to Game of Thrones. Like, I'm a book purist, and I'm like, because I hate what they did, especially with later seasons of the show, and I'm like, am I gonna like it? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll have to give it a try, and ultimately, to find out, but...
I was enjoying the show. I never did finish it. I heard the ending was terrible, of course, but I was enjoying the show. But then I heard what they did to Stannis, like, just what Stannis was like in the books versus the show, and I was like, wow, why would they do that? Like, how?
Yeah, there's...
So, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I was watching it, I watched clips of it, I tapped out after a little bit because I had started reading the books because I kept getting them for free, so people kept leaving them at the library. So I went, well, I guess they're mine now. We had so many copies at that point that I just went, oh, okay. And I grabbed a couple and I started reading it, and it was like, and I was enjoying it well enough, but I realized, I go, I am not into that high fantasy that much, am I? Oh well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can be, but urban fantasy kind of hits more good points for me. That's why The Wolf Among Us worked as well as it did for me.
I do love a good urban fantasy.
Give me that good, like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight this thing with a gun, or it's like, we're fighting this god with a gun.
I really enjoy the Dresden Files books, and that is one of my favorite things in it. Like, he's a wizard. He doesn't always have... Like, he doesn't use guns a lot, but he does have one, and it always just shocks whatever, like, vampire or whatever he's fighting when he's fighting with magic, and then just pulls out a pistol. They're like, what are you doing? It's always fun.
Yeah, I'm not a huge high fantasy person either, so that's why I'm kind of surprised I have become a Game of Thrones person, but now I'm like, well, maybe I am a high fantasy person, I just didn't know it. So, yeah, I guess I need more.
Is Game of Thrones high fantasy, or is it low fantasy, or is it like mid fantasy?
I feel like I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I'm
What do
a
you call
librarian and I'm
fantasy?
going,
What do you call fantasy that actually doesn't have all that much fantasy in it and is more about politics?
That's true. Yeah.
It might be low. There might be low fantasy. I might have misspoken.
Like,
Honestly,
there's more
I mean-
fantasy as it goes, but like, I don't know. I remember watching the first season of the show that I'm like, is there magic in this fantasy world? And then there were dragons at the end, and that was about it.
yes, capitalism, my favorite fantasy.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh gosh. Well, when you put it like that.
I mean,
I mean,
But anyway,
actually,
yes.
though.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Actually, though, it's capitalism is a fantasy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Game of Thrones, it is. Oh my god. Actually,
Yep.
something to think about.
something to think about here on the podcast.
But anyway, yes, Danielle, The Walking Dead. You played. That's good.
Yes.
I love that. I love that first season in particular, just a lot.
Oh yeah.
Good way to start off the year too. Again, because that was the first game I played. So.
Oh god.
Yeah, on a stunning emotional low.
Oh
Yes.
yes. I mean, well, yes, yes. Sad,
Get punched in
traumatizing.
the stomach.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, man, I am not over how much that game messed with my emotion. It's so good.
It really, and the thing is, like, I think The Last of Us sort of changed this for me, but partially a little. I'm not a big zombie person. Like, I tend to get really annoyed with the tropes that exist in zombie stories, so I avoid them usually. Then I played The Last of Us and was like, I mean, quote unquote zombie story, and I was like, I really, really like this. So, The Walking Dead.
Zombies are one of those things that got really popular and got a lot of people doing it and got like 4 people doing it right.
Right.
You know, like you can tell zombies are a setting, you know, more than anything else. And you can use that setting to great effect, but a whole lot of zombie stuff, especially in video games, most zombie video games are just, hey, it's fun to shoot zombies, right? Yeah, let's do it. And, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It only goes so far.
Yeah, so I was nervous, but The Walking Dead, just excellent. And yeah, obviously a punch in the stomach, but like, look, apparently, like, I live for that stuff. Like, I like stories that make me sad, so, you know.
I know, right?
Yeah. It
doesn't make sense, but it's, what was that quote from that episode of Doctor Who?
I'm not sure.
Why am I forgetting the name of the Angels episode on Doctor Who?
The Weeping
Blink.
Angels episode?
Yeah, it was just Blink, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the girl at the beginning of that says something like, sad is happy for deep people. And putting aside the, like, silly pretension of the statement, like, yeah, I like things that destroy my soul.
It's totally deep, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Which also reminds me, I need to get back to playing Clannad, because I started that a while ago. Yeah, no, the anime is like my favorite, specifically because it's like the reason I cry in I never cried in anything, and then I watched that stupid show and it broke my entire soul, and now I cry in everything. So I am enjoying the game, and I need to continue going through it.
I mean, honestly, look, like, I know, like, crying, like, it doesn't always feel like the best, but sometimes you just need a good cry, you know, and you experience a story that's really moving and, you know, traumatizing, and again, a punch in the stomach, and you gotta let it out. So
that's the thing. It means that the story's working.
Exactly.
Like, you're getting invested in something and having feelings about it, and I don't know, that's great sometimes. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. I do have another honorable mention that I want to mention for the stories, or a good story in a game. It's not my favorite, but I did play through Life is Strange 2. And
Need to do that.
I do too. How was
Because
that?
True Colors came out this year, and I want to play all of them. So anyway, yeah, how was 2?
I really liked it. I'm trying to remember, when did I even play that? I feel like that was at the beginning of the year too. Yeah, I was playing that when we were playing Bloodborne, so I was going back and forth with that when I couldn't play.
That's quite a contrast.
I know. When I couldn't make it through a challenge in Bloodborne, I would go to Life is Strange 2. But no, it was really good. It was much more, I mean, obviously, like, everything's political, but in terms of, like, what the game was trying to say, it had a clear political message, which I thought was really interesting. And I don't want to say, there's not much I feel like I can say without spoiling anything, but I really did like it. I don't know if I liked it more. It's very different than the first Life is Strange, in a good way, though. So, like, I was about to say, I don't know if I like it more than the first Life is Strange, but I feel like that's not a good statement to make because they're so different that I don't even really want to compare them. Just go in knowing that's not going to be like that first game. I mean, still, like, obviously the mechanics are pretty similar, but story-wise, it's something completely unique and good. I like it a lot. Which makes me, now I do gotta try True Colors. Because I did buy it, but haven't played it yet, so.
Yeah, I haven't played that yet, and I bought the game that they made before that, Tell Me Why.
Oh,
I feel like everyone raved about it for like 5 seconds, and then it disappeared off the face of the earth. So I'm looking forward to playing that one. But yeah, I also do need to play 2 and True Colors.
Yeah, I feel like Tell Me Why is one of those games that was on my list to play, and I never got to it. So I'm gonna try to get to it soon, because it does feel like it just kind of happened and nobody talks about it. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, if it had just been like meh, I would get it. But I feel like there was a lot of positive talk about it, but only for a very brief period of time.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
Maybe just because it's impossible to talk about it without getting the Backstreet Boys stuck in your head.
I
don't know about you, but when I talk about a game called Tell Me Why, that's all I hear. Tell me why, and that's in my head now forever. So.
Thanks, that's in my head now too. Thank you.
Yeah, see, you're welcome. Honestly, that song slaps.
Song.
I don't care. Like, it's good.
Oh, it
Whatever.
is a good song.
I will say, when I talk about the boy band era, the 90s, part of me is like, oh, bad, but also so good.
Honestly, I find the bands obnoxious, but I find the music really fun. So,
yes.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Whatever. I unironically like it.
I will unironically say that I think that No Strings Attached by NSYNC is one of my favorite albums. I'm saying it. I love it. It's really good.
Now it's time to enter that in on Monster Rancher and see what monster you get from it.
Oh, yeah. That's actually really exciting.
All right, so moving on to the second half of the podcast, our favorite songs from this year, except actually from the 90s. Let's go.
Man, that would be awesome. Any other games that we want to... I mean, I know I have other sort of categories here, but we've been talking a long time. Anything else that struck you this year that you played that hasn't been mentioned?
I still mostly just played Final Fantasy XIV, so like...
Oh my god.
Look, all I'm saying is it's really good. If you had told me, like, this time 2 years ago, that I would be spending a whole bunch of time grinding random nonsense so I could get a cute top for my Final Fantasy cat girl, I would have told you were crazy. But you know what? It's true.
Which, by the way, I love Jimmy's artwork on Twitter.
Yeah.
Characters, just very good.
Yeah, Jimmy's been having a lot of fun with fan art of our characters now that they've started playing, so that's been fun.
That's awesome. How about you, Red?
I can't really think of anything else. I have games, but at the same time, I don't want to talk for 8 more hours.
Okay, well, wait a second. I just realized that we haven't mentioned one game that last time we recorded, we swore we would talk about, and we haven't touched at all. And that is Skateboard.
I have not.
I still haven't played it.
I have not bought
I
it yet.
need to.
I played it for like 10 minutes, so...
I've heard it is kind of hard to control.
I have too.
I had a hard time, but I want to come back to it.
Yeah.
But
we'll circle back.
Yeah.
I will say, another game that I played this year was The Hex, which is a Danielle Mullins, I think is his name, game. It's the same guy that made Pony Island. And then he also is the one that made Inscription this year. And I have not played Inscription yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. And after having played Pony Island and The Hex, since they're all sort of connected, I am very excited to get to Inscription. So, yeah, I've just heard nothing but praise for Inscription, so I'm looking forward to getting on that, and I recommend both Pony Island and The Hex. They're short and cool, and they're good stuff.
Nice. I played through Ocarina of Time for the first time.
Oh,
that was kind of cool. I paid the $50 to the Nintendo folks. So I could, play that game, and thank God Majora's Mask is coming right away, because
Yep.
Otherwise, I would have made a terrible mistake. But yeah, I finally played that, and all I can say is thank God for save states on Nintendo's online service, because that helped me get through
sure.
it. I mean, I don't know. I know like that's considered to be like sort of this all-time like best game, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I really liked it, but
I definitely hold Ocarina of Time in a place of honor as a game that did a lot of good things first and set a lot of important precedents and things, and has since been bested in just about every way by games of its own series and beyond. Like, I like Ocarina of Time just fine, but it's not close to my favorite Zelda. You know, it's a game that I respect and acknowledge its importance more than I actually, like, love it personally.
I think that was well said, actually. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for me as well.
Majora's Mask, though, is fantastic. I look forward to you getting to play through Majora's Mask. It's
yeah,
it's good.
I'm excited because like with Ocarina of Time, that's a game where I knew quite a bit about it. I mean, I had played it a little bit as a kid, like a very tiny bit, and I'd watched a lot of speedruns of it, so there was a lot of like things that I knew about going into it. Not so much the story, but like just it was a game that I was very familiar with. So playing like on my own for the first time was just very strange, because it's like I know I've seen all these things before, but having context was really nice. Majora's Mask I know nothing about. I've seen nothing. So I'm
nothing. Wait, nothing at all? Not even like the creepy moon or anything?
Well, okay, that's true. I've seen that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen the creepy moon.
Oh boy. It might be a little frustrating. It has some user hostile design in it, but in, at least in my opinion, a very good way.
Okay.
It is a very, very weird entry in this. It's not. It's very much still a Zelda game, but also in many ways unlike any other Zelda game. It's a weird one, but in ways that made me love it a whole lot.
Okay.
Especially since it is a lot more narratively ambitious. Zelda has a few particular things that tend to annoy me with their storytelling, not the least of which is very much present in Ocarina of Time. The way that it took its whole premise and then was like, anyway, go collect these things for a bit, and like what it did actually like have a chance to deliver on it straight up. I will never get over the way that there was that whole like goodbye scene with Saria near the beginning. Yeah. And then you find her later again. She's like, anyway, Link, yep, this is where I am now. Bye. Right. And that was just it. I was like, what? You set up a whole like thing with this connection between these two characters, and that payoff was nothing. But, you know.
It definitely feels like a game. It feels like a game of its time at this point, and I do think that it... I mean, I kind of hate saying that because, like, there's no reason why they had to just drop things, but I guess, you know, there's certain limitations with the hardware and stuff where they can't maybe do as much as they would have possibly intended. I don't know, but it definitely felt like there were some story restrictions that were unfortunate in that game.
Yeah. Which is sad because there are a lot of legitimately cool narrative things in there. Just,
sure.
You know,
yeah.
Also a lot that really could have been more, so...
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to mention a few short games real quick, but I played a short hike, which is excellent.
I love it.
You have a very good video on it. Go watch that, everyone. I'll link it in the show notes. Coffee Talk. I know we talked about it last episode, but I finally played it.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I liked that.
Yeah, very good.
Because Red and I made a video on that one on Red's channel, too.
Yes.
Yep.
So we'll link that as well.
Huzzah!
That was a fun game. I liked it. There is another one now.
Yeah.
I need to play that.
Is it out yet?
It is going to be out soon. The demo is out right now.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
As of recording this on the 28th of January in 2022.
Yes. I also played through One Shot, which I really liked.
Yeah!
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah!
Now that I think about it, I finally finished that one this year, too. I'd started it ages ago.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I liked that. Yeah.
I'm biased. I did a whole video on it, so I'm just like,
you did. Honestly, that's a lot of the reason you put that video out, and I was like, well, I've played 2 out of these 3 games, because Red's video is about Off, Undertale, and One Shot, and I was like, man, I need to finish One Shot so that I can watch this, and then I finally finished One Shot and watched the video. It was very good.
I was just about to say I haven't played Undertale, so because I was gonna say I think I had that video on my watch list, but that's why I probably haven't watched it yet because of Undertale.
I keep forgetting you haven't played. Danielle, Undertale is really good. You should play Undertale.
I know everybody says that. I was hesitant, honestly, and I forget who I was talking to, and it might have been Bez actually. I think they like put it in perspective for me of why I was on the fence, and they were like, "No, this is why you should play it." I'm like, "All right, sounds good." I don't remember what they said, but it made me more excited to play it, so I will. I'll put that on my list this year.
That also reminds me that Deltarune Chapter 2 came out this year, and I still haven't played it. So that's a shame, because I really liked Chapter 1. So, Deltarune being the sequel to Undertale.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta get on that.
Yeah, I also played 1980X. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I do not know that one.
Wait a minute, is that the one with the guns and the werewolves? Oh wait, no, that's 1886.
Yeah, this
Oh
one...
god. Yeah, okay, I know that one.
Numbers.
Close enough.
There's some numbers,
yeah.
I guess.
There's numbers in it, so it makes sense. No, this one, it's like an arcade. It's basically like this, I think it takes place in, it's supposed to be like this futuristic setting, but it's like taking, how do I explain it? It doesn't really, I don't even know if it has really a story. It's just a bunch of like mini games of this kid who goes to an arcade and basically feels like they belong there. Like this is their home and they're playing all these different arcade mini games. And it's just it's very short, but it's very pleasant. I really liked it. I think it's just like 5 mini games, but they're all great. I'm like literally just going through my list. Sagebrush, played that.
Ooh, I love that one.
That's a good
lot.
One. Yeah.
That's dealing with some heavy stuff, but
yes.
If you have religious trauma, then do play this game, but also just be
aware.
Prepared.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's very good. Just a little rough sometimes in a good way.
And then like on a completely opposite note, Super Mario Odyssey, which was fun. I enjoyed it. And then so I started Night in the Woods, but that's another one I didn't finish, but I just didn't have the time. I'm still replaying that right now. So
all right.
That was actually a lot of fun. But yeah, any other games before we move on?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I played Civilization 6 for the first time. It was kind of like Civilization 5, but slightly different. So, yep, there's that. So anyway.
I've never played a Civilization game.
They're fun if you don't value your time.
Oh, okay. Well.
Well, I mean, no, not to say that they don't value your time, just that you lose time to it because it's addicting.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
That's fair.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm done.
Okay, real quick before we end this, any games you're looking forward to playing this year?
Have you two have had times, right, where there are some games you're looking forward to and you're like, cool, I wonder when those come out, and they all come out at the same friggin' time?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Well, February 18th is Horizon Forbidden West, and I loved Horizon Zero Dawn a lot. So I am absolutely looking forward to this. And then a couple days later is Elden Ring, the FromSoft like Souls-like game with the lore written by J.R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
So obviously I want that too. And then a month after Horizon comes out, we get Stranger of Paradise, which is the weird as hell Final Fantasy I reimagining.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I am very excited for all 3 of those games. And they're all coming out very just bam, bam, bam in February through March. And so that's what I'm doing, I guess, for a while coming up soon. Theoretically, we should also be getting a Plague Tale sequel sometime this year, too, which I'm looking forward to. Aside from that, I think there are just a lot of others that we know are coming soon-ish, but don't know if it'll actually be this year. I'm looking forward to Alan Wake 2, of course, God of War Ragnarok, Marvel Spider-Man 2 because I really enjoyed the Spider-Man game so far, and I hate Ubisoft so much. Also, though, they're remaking Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, and I love that game so much. And I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, that's I don't know exactly if all of those are gonna end up this year. They're mostly TBA, but soon. But yeah, that's my main thing is, these next few months, Forbidden West, Elden Ring, and then Stranger of Paradise. So,
I mean, Forbidden West. I mean, I have to play Horizon Zero Dawn. That's one of mine I'm looking forward to.
yes, it is. It's quite good. I like it a lot.
I'm excited. How about you, Red?
Okay, so I'm trying to remember exactly what it's called. Just give me 2 seconds. One of them is She Dreams Elsewhere. That's allegedly coming out this year. It's a surreal RPG where you have to traverse like a dreamscape in inner nightmares, and you're in a coma. And it reminds me a little bit of this itch.io game called Ghost Hospital, but I don't think Ghost Hospital is going to see a release anytime soon. So I would recommend checking out She Dreams Elsewhere. It looks like it's coming out in 2022 from what I've seen of like the developer talking on occasion, but there is no announcement date confirmed, so don't yell at me if it isn't.
Well, the art looks really interesting. Like, I just Googled this and it looks very visually.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to it, and I've been watching it occasionally because it keeps popping up on my feed, and I just keep watching it like the stalker that I am when it comes to really unique looking indie games. There's also the game that I have been waiting for a while. It's called Stray.
Yes.
You play it.
Yes.
That's on my list, yeah.
You play as a cat in a third-person world, and it's cyberpunk and crazy.
I forgot about that one, and I shouldn't have, because it looks so good.
It's coming out this year.
I'm so excited for that.
And also, Volcano High is coming out this year. I'm not sure.
Right.
It is a dinosaur visual novel, maybe dating sim, can't tell. One of the voice actors that's in it played a character in the Sabrina Chilling Adventures. They use they them pronouns. The game itself looks very interesting because they're going entirely from a dinosaur angle. And I don't understand where they're going with it, but I'm here for it. Because why not? And the artwork looks generally just kind of intriguing, which is what I look for in a visual novel. Also, hey, so the Kirby game's coming out soon.
Right.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that because I generally like Kirby. Kirby is fun. I have never had a bad experience with a Kirby game. So I'm probably going to get that way before I get Pokemon Legends Arceus, because I would actually like to have just general borderline open world Kirby fun. I will take that every day, even though I wonder how there are entire villages of Waddle Dees and they're completely fine with Kirby coming in there, because I think to myself, I go, haven't you eaten thousands of these, Kirby? Don't they know? Don't they know what's happening, Kirby?
Yes, but they also know they cannot anger Kirby if they wish to continue their bleak existence.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes and I go, Kirby's scary.
Kirby's like canonically an elder god or something now, right? Like,
yeah, more or less, yeah. I love Kirby. It's an innocent kids game thing, but also it's not. Yep. There's also this game called Mothman 1966 that looked really, really interesting.
Ooh.
And it's like a Pulp Fiction, low pixel, low resolution style artwork about the meteor shower that was in 1966. And it looked kind of neat, so I was looking at that. And there's also a game about a Shiba Inu that's being pet sit by an inexperienced dog sitter, and you get to do shenanigans as a Shiba Inu.
Yes.
What can possibly go wrong?
That sounds amazing.
And then there's also, there is a game, because I think it's coming out this year. Is it Nick? No, that's not it. Hold on. Pokemon like game with guns. There's
You're
a
talking
Pokemon...
about the Pokemon first-person shooter? Oh no,
Cow
I know which
World.
one you're talking about.
Cow
Yeah.
World.
Yeah.
Wait, Cow World?
Pal World.
Pal.
Oh,
Yeah,
Pal
World.
I just did not remember what it was called. Okay, so Pal World is a Pokemon-like game, but it has like a Minecraft-like aesthetic where you can build things, but also guns. And when I say "and also guns," it is just a lot of guns. Just My Neighbor Totoro, but guns. Leafeon, but Leafeon has a gun. It's the most ridiculous thing, and I don't know if it is coming. I think it is coming out this year. I want to see what happens. I want to see how it comes out and what happens. I am looking forward to it because I want to see what sort of fallout this is going to have if it's bad.
Wait, what is it called again? Pal
World.
Okay. I will have to add that to my ever-growing list. One of the games that I'm looking forward to that I just heard of like maybe a week or two ago is a game called Behind the Frame.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's like...
I have not.
It's this cool game. Like, so I don't know much about it. I've just seen like bits of the trailer, but it looks like a game where like... So I'm looking at the page on Nintendo's website, and it says paint, sketch, and retouch your artwork to complete your masterpiece and your memories. And like the art style looks like Studio Ghibli a little bit, and it's just... It looks really good, and I'm actually very excited for it. It's supposed to come in the spring. So, yeah,
Those kind of look like Ghibli. Oh, there's a cat.
Yes. Oh, cats.
This is a good game.
For the win, yeah. I'm also, well, speaking of cats, again, Stray is also on my list that I'm looking forward to. Breath of the Wild 2. I'm highly anticipating that when that hopefully comes out this year, which Nintendo has said it is coming out this year, so I imagine it will be probably in the later months.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Obviously, like I said, Horizon Zero Dawn and Persona 5 Royal. That's another game that I wanted to get to last year. And I thought that was the game that I'd spend hours on instead of Fire Emblem. So I feel like Fire Emblem just took over basically my life last year. So maybe Persona 5 Royal will be that game for me. We'll see.
All right. Yeah, 4 is still my favorite of the Persona games that I've played, but 5 is quite good. And better than 4 in a lot of like game feel design ways. So yeah.
I have 4.
That's a good one.
I eventually will play it.
Yeah, 5 is the better game in many ways. It's just that the cast of 4 feels like my family to me. I have an extremely strong connection to them. And 5 didn't quite work the same magic twice, but it's very good still. So
5 is interesting because I've never played a Persona game, really any game like it, to be honest. And I ended up like watching actually a pretty good chunk of a playthrough of it because I was just not sure if I would like it or not. And I got so invested in it that I'm just watching this playthrough and I had to stop myself. I was like, all right, that's enough. Like, you should just play it for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a little daunting. I know there's like a lot to do in the game and it's going to suck up so many hours, but I'm ready for it. I feel like now it's time. So hopefully soon. We'll see. But yeah, those are probably the games I'm looking forward to most. And just probably replaying. I'm through the Kingdom Hearts games. I want to play through all the games on the hardest difficulty because, why not do that to myself? So I'm actually really excited for that. So hopefully I find time to do it. We'll see.
All right.
But yeah. Well, this has been a fun conversation. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah, had a fun time. Now, real quick, do you both want to share where people can find you on the interwebs?
No.
No.
All right, and the episode then.
Click.
Yeah.
Click.
Well, I'm the game professor. You can find me at Games as Literature on YouTube, or if you just search Games as Lit 101, you'll find it. If you haven't checked out any videos on there, I suggest just looking through those literary analyses and finding a game that you like and would like to hear the story talked about, and watch that. And you can find me on Twitter at Games as Lit.
I'm Red Angel. I do my little mini editorials called Late Night Ponderings. I cover video games a lot of times, but I also cover anime and film and books. So Late Night Ponderings would probably be the easiest way to find me because there's a couple of Red Angels on there. But I also do videos on the parasocial relationships between video games and parasocial relationship between Off, One Shot, and Undertale is one of my biggest ones, and I promise I'll be more active this year. It's just been it's been crazy, but I'll be more active this year and actually post up content at least once a month is my goal. So
nice. And of course, you can find Level Story over at levelstory.net or on Twitter at levelstorymag. And with that ends our episode. So again, thanks for coming on. You guys, this was a lot of fun, as always.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's always nice talking to you too. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Excited for when we reflect on the games of 2022. Which feels like a really far away event, but honestly, it feels like our 2020 reflection wasn't that long ago. So, Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we will talk to you next time. Goodbye.